I was slouched on the couch, only half aware of the news murmuring from the television, when my younger brother, sad, strolled in and tossed his car keys onto the table with a lazy flick of his wrist. His voice had a teasing edge as he asked, "So, where's the missus?" Without thinking, I gave the same answer I always did. "She's at work." I'd repeated that line so many times, it came out of me automatically. But this time was different. His expression didn't match his tone. The smirk never reached his eyes. He paused, looking at me for a beat longer than normal, something unreadable flickering in his gaze before he said quietly, "No, she's not." I turned toward him fully, and the air in the room thickened. "What are you talking about?" I asked, trying to sound steady, though a knot had already begun twisting in my gut. He pulled out his phone, tapped the screen a few times, then handed it to me. My chest tightened as I looked down. It was a photo, time-stamped for today. My wife, Henna, wasn't at the office like she'd claimed. She was at a restaurant, seated across from a man I didn't recognize. They weren't just talking. They were laughing, leaning close. Her hand rested gently on his arm. It looked intimate. I stared at the screen in stunned silence, the chill from my fingertips spreading up my arms. My body went numb, my thoughts frozen. Sad sat beside me, his voice soft. "I wasn't trying to hurt you. I just thought you should know." I nodded faintly, unsure if I'd even spoken aloud. "Thanks," I murmured. But inside, I felt myself quietly break, piece by piece. That night, I waited for her to return. I couldn't confront her, not right away. I didn't have the strength yet. She walked through the door just before 10, brushing it off as a work meeting that had gone late. She looked me in the eye and lied with such smooth confidence, like it was second nature. And in that moment, I realized, this wasn't the first time. It was just the first time I had proof. I smiled weakly and offered her dinner. She shook her head, said she was exhausted. I watched her walk down the hall, unaware that we had already drifted so far apart. The next several days passed in a daze. I kept up appearances, said nothing. But every time she said she was leaving for work, I followed her. Each time, I uncovered more. Different cafes. A few parks. Once, even a hotel. Always with the same man. While I was working to build a future for both of us, she had been living a double life. Every new discovery felt like a blade slipping deeper into my chest. I cried in silence, hiding my pain from everyone, including Sad. Then, one evening, as she was getting ready to go out, I asked carefully, "Where are you off to tonight?" She hesitated before answering. "Just dinner with the team. Some small work celebration." I nodded, pretending to believe her. But I already knew. That night, I didn't trail her. Instead, I stayed home and pulled out our wedding album. I flipped through the pages, studying each photograph. What used to be memories now looked like lies, empty smiles, hollow vows, promises that had faded into nothing. That's when I began writing. A letter. I poured everything I had into it, my love, my confusion, my hurt, and the silent ache of watching the woman I cherished slowly become someone I no longer recognized. I didn't write it to blame her. Not entirely. Maybe I'd failed too. Maybe I hadn't seen her slipping away. But that didn't excuse the secrecy, the betrayal, the affair. By morning, I placed the letter gently on her pillow and left before she woke. I needed distance. A moment to breathe. I stayed with Sad for a week. He didn't ask questions. He just gave me space to fall apart in peace. Some nights I cried until sleep found me. Other nights I lay motionless, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out when it had all started to go wrong. Love, once so warm and comforting, now felt like an open wound I couldn't stitch closed. On the 8th day, Henna called. Her voice shook as she spoke. She'd read the letter. She asked to meet, begged for it. I agreed. We sat down at a quiet cafe. She looked different, tired, fragile, remorseful. She apologized, tears streaming freely. She admitted to everything. Said she'd been lost, that she never meant to hurt me. She didn't even try to explain why she did it. She didn't deny a thing. I listened in silence. But the part of me that once ached for her had gone quiet. I told her I forgave her, not to ease her conscience, but to free myself from the burden of hate. Then I told her I couldn't continue living in a marriage that was built on deception. She didn't argue. Her silence said it all. She understood. We parted that day without shouting, without accusations, just the quiet, shared understanding that what we had was gone. As I walked away, my eyes blurred with tears. But beneath the sorrow, I felt something else, something strange. Relief. Because for the first time in months, I wasn't pretending anymore. And in that heartbreak, I found a quiet kind of peace.